The movie begins in a museum, where various ancient artifacts from all over the world are being displayed, attracting a large number of visitors. Suddenly, two mysterious women in hats appear, eyeing one of the exhibited items which looks familiar. Indeed, it is the magical staff that once granted the power of SHAZAM to the protagonist, previously bestowed by the wizards. Now, the staff is broken into two pieces. Despite the staff's warnings not to touch it, the women ignore them, break the glass case, and snatch the staff. As security guards try to stop the theft, the two women retaliate with some psychic powers, followed by a force that turns everyone at the exhibition into beautifully arranged statues. The duo, who later refer to themselves as goddesses, then leave the scene with stone-faced expressions, unable to be stopped by anyone. The scene then cuts to Billy Batson, the protagonist of the story, who is extremely stressed after his siblings from different bloodlines each received the powers of SHAZAM. It's becoming more and more difficult for Billy to control everyone since they all have their own opinions and are still quite young. However, Billy continues to try his best every day. One day, a major crisis occurs when a large bridge connecting two cities begins to collapse. Billy and his 6 siblings rush to control the situation, managing to prevent any loss of life with their heroic efforts. However, they have to trade off the fact that the bridge is now completely destroyed. As a result, public opinion is divided. Some people admire them as heroes, while others criticize them as a group causing chaos and trouble. Certainly, Billy led the meeting to find the mistakes of their operation in their secret chamber of wizardry. However, it turned out that almost none of the members cooperated with Billy. Some did their homework, some played on their phones, and even Billy himself was frustrated, not knowing how to control the team. Before the scene switched to another kingdom where something was being imprisoned, 2 girls who called themselves goddesses were meeting someone who had been mentioned as the wizard who once granted SHAZAM's power to the protagonist and his friends. The goddesses demonstrated their magic to the wizard, making him extremely confused about how the goddesses came to the human world when he had once cast a barrier spell to keep them away. It was revealed that the wizard's barrier had weakened, allowing the goddesses to enter the human world. Without hesitation, they used their power to command the wizard to cast a new spell, using the word SHAZAM to repair the barrier so they could continue their war plan. The wizard, however, did not comply, secretly stealing a strand of magic from the barrier spell for some special purpose. Cutting back to the scene with Freddy, in his ordinary human form, he attended school as usual. At that moment, a new classmate named Anne was being bullied by some thugs. Freddy immediately rushed to help her, but ended up injuring himself in the process. Anne was grateful to Freddy and saw him as her hero, which made Freddy secretly happy. Switching back to Billy, who was asleep at the time, the wizard used this opportunity to enter Billy's dream and informed him of the current situation. The daughter of Atlas had officially visited the human world and taken the wizard's magic. The world was in great danger. Billy didn't understand how the wizard, who had turned to dust, could be there. The wizard was disappointed in Billy for not using his SHAZAM powers to help the world as much as he should have. It seemed like the wizard had chosen the wrong champion. Then, Billy suddenly woke up from his dream and immediately gathered his siblings to discuss the urgent matter of the wizard's warning about the daughter of Atlas coming to attack them. However, just like the previous meetings, nobody really listened to Billy, not even a little. Moreover, Freddy didn't even attend the meeting because he was busy flirting with Anne. With his newfound charm, he became quite close with the SHAZAM-powered heroes, making Anne quite pleased. On Billy's side, the absence of Freddy is not a problem. Instead, they focus on gathering information about the daughters of Atlas to find out who they really are and why they are so angry with wizards and gods. The daughters of Atlas are 3 in number, and they have a deep grudge against the wizards and gods who once conspired together to steal power from them and lock the gods out of the world of mortals. In the past, mortals used to respect gods more than they do now. And now, the daughters of Atlas are seeking revenge. Strangely, there are supposed to be 3 daughters of Atlas, but they have only seen 2 so far. Eventually, the protagonists learn the real name of one of the daughters, Anne. Coincidentally or not, Anne's name is the same as the new friend Freddy is currently trying to court. If this is true, he is in great danger. In reality, it is indeed the case. Freddy is secretly using SHAZAM's power to deceive everyone into thinking he is his close friend, trying to impress this girl. At first, she seems impressed, but eventually, the other two sisters arrive, armed with powerful magic. They drain SHAZAM's power from Freddy, returning him to his original form. The truth is revealed that Freddy is one of the SHAZAM-powered heroes, and Anne's two sisters do not hesitate to use their ultimate weapon against him, despite Anne's objections. Fortunately, at that moment, Billy and his team of 5 arrive to help Freddy. Unfortunately, the daughters of Atlas capture them and threaten to harm Freddy if they interfere. Before the heroes can react, the daughters of Atlas cast a powerful protective dome around the city to prepare for their next plan. Of course, the SHAZAM-powered heroes cannot penetrate this dome, no matter how much power they use. This forces Billy's team to call an emergency meeting to find answers to what has happened. Eventually, they realize that the answer to all their problems began in the first part of the story when, after defeating a villain, the protagonist accidentally broke a staff without realizing it. This event allowed the gods to invade the world of mortals. In the meantime, Freddy was confronted by the 3 Atlas gods, who summoned him for questioning about the identities of the champions. There were 5 others they needed to find in order to use the forbidden magic to reclaim their powers. Freddy was in pain from the intense questioning, but luckily, Anne was somewhat sympathetic towards him since she had been impressed with him since they first met at school. As a result, Freddy was taken to a prison cell to be kept with the wizard before being released shortly after. Anne, knowing that Freddy couldn't survive on his own, showed him a secret escape route, and the wizard heard and decided to help Freddy in return for his previous assistance. Additionally, Freddy learned the secret of the older sister. They were searching for something called the 1,000 Seeds. As soon as the wizard heard this, he knew what they were after. The 1,000 Seeds were well protected in the magical chamber of the SHAZAM family, making them difficult to obtain. At this point, the gods tried to negotiate with Billy first, hoping he would agree to an exchange. Of course, this encounter was part of Billy's plan, luring the older Atlas god into a private conversation. However, it became less private when the protagonist brought the 4 other SHAZAM siblings into the battle. Ultimately, the older god couldn't withstand the power of the 5 SHAZAMs and was captured, becoming a hostage for the exchange. Little did they know that this was all part of the older god's evil plan to steal the golden apple, the 1,000 Seeds, from the SHAZAM family's magical chamber. This marked the beginning of the disaster. Once the older god obtained what he wanted, he planned to plant the 1,000 Seeds in this very world to restore the god's powers. Despite Anne's warnings, he refused to listen and prepared to plant the seeds, creating a multitude of horrifying creatures that wreaked havoc throughout the city. The SHAZAM family tried to stop this event, but the gods drained the SHAZAM power from each of them, leaving them as ordinary humans. Only Billy remained with his SHAZAM powers, becoming the last hope to stop the Atlas god's offspring. In this moment, Anne tries to persuade the elder god to change his mind and not destroy this world, as most creatures have done no wrong. The elder god starts to soften his stance, deciding not to plant the seed on this world. However, the deputy god sees everyone's vulnerability and takes matters into her own hands, commanding her dragon to capture the elder god and steal his power from Anne. As a result, the deputy god of Atlas becomes the sole controller of this world's destiny. Without hesitation, she heads to the center of the soccer field to plant the seed, which grows into a demonic tree that rapidly spawns a horde of demons wreaking havoc across the city. Meanwhile, our hero, Billy, the last wielder of the SHAZAM power, uses all his strength and tactics to battle the deputy god who is riding her dragon. Our hero even inadvertently calls her Gay Lacey, the mother of dragons, referring to the character from Game of Thrones. However, with immense power difficult to counter, our hero manages to wrestle some magic from the deputy god but still struggles to defeat her. In a desperate move, he uses the stolen magic to shrink the dome around the demonic tree, trapping it within the center. Our hero then makes the ultimate decision to use all of his SHAZAM powers to detonate the dome, destroying both the deputy god and himself, leaving no survivors. In this episode, the remaining 5 siblings of our protagonist Billy are deeply saddened by his departure. They see it as a great sacrifice, and Billy is recognized as the true hero. Even the wizard is proud of Billy and knows he never made a wrong choice. Although Billy had his flaws, his departure is mourned with great honor, and a dignified funeral is held, attended by the wizard, Anne, and many important guests. The wizard, having regained his magical staff, is disappointed that its power has diminished due to the explosion caused by Billy. Only a god can awaken its power. But there are no gods left on Earth. During the funeral, a woman enters, and it turns out she is none other than Wonder Woman. She offers to restore the power of the staff, and with her divine lineage, she succeeds in awakening its power. The revived power of the staff brings Billy back to life, and he is astonished to find himself still alive. His family is overjoyed at his return. The wizard officially thanks Billy, acknowledging that choosing him as the champion was the right decision, and no one is more deserving of the godly power than Billy. Finally, Billy asks his 5 siblings if they want their powers back, and when they agree, he grants their wishes. Thus, the story of the adventures comes to a close.